Will Anthony Davis get traded from the Lakers? And if so, to who? These questions are very much on the minds of the Los Angeles Lakers faithful, because in many ways, Anthony Davis was meant to be their savior on a whole lot of levels. And he did deliver in the bubble playoffs. But every time other than then, not so much. His injuries are adding up, and many think that the Lakers will try and dump him in order to get healthier and more consistent players. But are there teams in the NBA that can do that for them? There are a few options. The state of the Lakers. LeBron James and co. added the likes of Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard, and other former All-Star level talents. But this season was a complete disaster for the Lakers, and we don't say that lightly. It wasn't just that they were below 500 for the second time in LeBron's 4 years with the team so far, it's also that they didn't make the playoffs, also for the second time with LeBron. Between injuries to both James and Anthony Davis, plus injuries to other key players on this roster throughout the season, the Lakers had trouble building chemistry on the floor with one another, and as a result, they were taken to town more times than not. Now, LeBron James is still an elite-level player that made the All-NBA list for the 18th time in his career. But he cannot carry this squad alone, and the Lakers proved that due to their lack of winning and their inability to get back to the playoffs. Do recall, they were the NBA champs just 2 seasons ago. But that was also the bubble playoffs, so there is honestly an asterisk there given that they had a long break to heal up before then, essentially making it a new season. Either way, their now former coach couldn't find any stability on his bench. LeBron James was complaining to local reporters and journalists. At time, he also said he was having the time of his life during a key losing period, so make of that as you will. And after one blowout loss to the Pelicans, a game the Lakers needed to win, LeBron and other Lakers players were getting into arguments with fans during the game. This season has been a complete bust for the Los Angeles Lakers, and with the offseason not really presenting any means for them to get better because of their cap situation, it is time to start floating around the possibility of some major roster changes. Of course, the Los Angeles Lakers should try to trade Russell Westbrook in the offseason, but they should also start to entertain the idea of tearing everything down and beginning some kind of a rebuild process. Whether they trust the process, though, is up for debate, given how they've made a lot of big swings over the last 5 years, and they've only technically succeeded a few times on those. Trading Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, Jordan Clarkson, Kyle Kuzma, Josh Hart, and others through the years is really starting to catch up to the Los Angeles Lakers, which is why trading their stars could be the only avenue to long-term success for this franchise. Starting with the one they made the trade for in the first place, Anthony Davis. The state of Davis. Anthony Davis always seems to be injured for the Lakers and set to make $121.8 million through the 2024-25 season. It could make a lot of sense for Los Angeles to try and move the all-star big man right now while he still holds a ton of value on the market. It is going to be extremely difficult for the Lakers to try and trade Anthony Davis should they be wanting to do so in the offseason, simply because of the fact that he has a lot of yellow flags attached to him. His injury and durability concerns loom large right now, and not many rebuilding teams in this league would likely be willing to give up a ton of future assets to bring in Davis right now. Not to mention, $38 million for the 2022-23 season is a lot of trade value that many teams cannot match right now, or in the offseason for that matter. Should they want to trade Anthony Davis, there will be interest around the league, but landing another top player will be extremely difficult for the Lakers to do. But that isn't to say that there isn't people who couldn't trade for him, because there are. Oklahoma City Thunder. If there's one team in the league that has the capability to trade for any player, it's the Oklahoma City Thunder, simply because of all the future assets that they own. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey are likely untouchable in trade talks, but Luguentz Dort, Darius Bazley, Alexei Pukazovsky, Theo Maledon, and Jeremiah Robinson Earl could all be moved in a massive package deal for Anthony Davis. Plus, the Thunder own the rights to 35 total draft picks through 2028. Any combination of draft picks and young talents are on the table for a trade involving the Oklahoma City Thunder right now, and Anthony Davis could be the perfect all-star for them to build with. especially since he's only 28 years old and the Thunder have an immediate need for a big man in their front court. 3 first-round picks, 1 or 2 second-round picks, Luguentz Dort and Darius Bazley could be enough value for the Lakers to take back in a trade with the Thunder centered around Anthony Davis. That is, if they are fully committed to rebuilding. Charlotte Hornets. Another team besides the Oklahoma City Thunder who could show a level of interest in Anthony Davis is the Charlotte Hornets. For quite some time now, the Hornets have been trying to fix the problems in their front court. And while Mason Plumlee and recently acquired Montrezl Harrell have played well, these two are still not the future of the Hornets' front court. LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier have the backcourt tied up, but the need for a true threat in the front court is very apparent in Charlotte right now, and may be the final piece to making them a real threat in the Eastern Conference. Anthony Davis is not only an elite-level offensive talent when healthy, but he is one of the best defensive players in the league. Running pick-and-roll sets with LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier would be highly advantageous to the Charlotte Hornets, and they have quite a few assets to talk trades with. Gordon Hayward is starting to get up there in years, making him a possible offseason trade asset for this team, and Miles Bridges is going to be a very attractive trade piece for this team after the season he has put together. At just 23 years old and being a double-double threat on the wing, Miles Bridges could be exactly what the Los Angeles Lakers would like to add on the wing in a trade involving Anthony Davis. PJ Washington could be included in a trade for more future value going to Los Angeles, as could rookies James Bouknight and Kai Jones. The Charlotte Hornets also own a handful of draft picks, all of which they could package together in a trade for Anthony Davis. Many feel the team is on the verge of becoming much better, so perhaps Davis is what they need to go over that edge and into winning time territory. Brooklyn Nets. Weren't expecting them after their own debacle now, did you? But it's true, the Nets are on the board for this trade. In the offseason, it was said that Ben Simmons, who didn't play a single minute this season, would like to play for one of the California teams, and there has been a strong link to the Los Angeles Lakers, especially since he is represented by Rich Paul and Clutch Sports, LeBron James's best friend and agent. Plus, as noted, Simmons didn't play this year as a Net and just had back surgery to try and relieve him of some pain and injuries. So getting rid of him for a slightly less problematic player might be a boon for them. Or they might be gun-shy because they've had to deal with injured players all season, and the last 2 before that. And thus, they wouldn't want to risk it all for a guy who might not even be ready for the playoffs when the time comes. No matter what, though, it's looking pretty bleak for Davis right now in terms of remaining a Laker. He got that ring with them, but he's now a liability and a money consumer in the worst way, and many feel he'll be gone before too long. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at Anthony Davis and the teams that could go for him with picks and players that they have in stock? Do you think that one of these teams will indeed try and trade for him? Or will it be another team that gets him? What will the Lakers be like without Davis after they potentially trade him? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on the channel.